Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Anne O'Donnell.
Hello and welcome to our highlights show. Well, we've put together the best bits of the week for you. Let's have a look at what's going on. New dimension, the 3D printer is revolutionising architecture. New function, that's the upcycling street art of Thomas Dambo. And new interaction, apps are making art extremely attainable. Well, this week we looked at the wonders of new technology in 3D printing, which is already being used in many industries. What those printers can do gets crazier by the minute, from printing shoes and food to everything in between. Well, Euromaxx got chatting to a Dutch company looking to start printing bridges for pedestrians over Amsterdam's numerous canals.
It looks like painting in the sky, except with hardened steel. A new technology developed by Dutch startup MX3D is set to revolutionize the world of 3D printing. It enables the construction of highly complex structures made of metal in unprecedented dimensions.
We use robots in a way nobody is using them. In the car industry and in almost all industries, engineers spend a lot of time programming the robot. They spend like months programming the robot to do one thing repetitively. What we do is more generative. So that means we have to shoot new information in the robot all the time. So every piece of information of the robot printing is completely different from the last one.
The concept centers on a robotic arm that can be rotated along 6 different planes of movement. There's a print head that works in a style similar to that of a blowtorch. Reaching temperatures of up to 1500 degrees Celsius, it can mold metal into all manner of objects, both vertically and horizontally.
You can use it for different industrial applications. For instance, everything you build out of steel, if you have to produce one-of-a-kind parts, it's really complex and really expensive. You have to make molds, you have to, for every piece you make, you have to make a mold. And we can just print basically almost any shape we want.
And among the more challenging shapes, a bridge. The team has designed this structure to span one of the 200 canals found in Amsterdam. What sets this bridge apart from the 1,200 already gracing their home city is that it will be printed on site, from embankment to embankment.
We're not stuck to a bounding box anymore, but because we use a robot, we can move out of the bounding box and print from existing structures. That's really interesting, actually.
3D printing in architecture is also being explored at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Its use here is more subtle, with a computer turning artificial sandstone into elements you might see in a cathedral. Customized algorithms are used to compute every nook, cranny, and curve.
We've seen it in the past, in the pre-modern days, that architecture was created with an incredible level of detail. If you look at Baroque churches, if you look at the Rococo, and so on. But it took an incredible amount of time. It took artisans years and years and years to create something like this.
The 3D printer from Zurich needs 2 days to build up the layers of fine sand. A binding agent is used to glue them together and create the artificial stone. Each decorative detail can be adapted individually.
Normally, you'd have problems with the scale and precision, but with this technique, in terms of the geometry, there are no limits.
Except for the frame in which the printer works. The robots in the service of MX3D in Amsterdam, on the other hand, are free to use whatever space they need, which is a lot. It's one of the reasons the young company is moving to a warehouse at the edge of the city.
We start out with a bridge, a small bridge first, because we have to develop. And then later on we will see where it leads us. Maybe new bridges, bigger bridges, but also constructions, the whole construction world. I think we can use this technique to build full buildings maybe at a certain point.
And there are no material restrictions for the robots either. The speed of application is adjusted to enable the lower layer to harden before the next is applied.
We started testing with brass, with copper. We're going to do some tests with aluminium. So basically all metals that you can actually weld, you can also use for printing. And that makes it really interesting. You can just switch the tool and you have a whole new technique.
Construction of the bridge in Amsterdam is set to begin in early 2017, after planning permission and other conditions have been met. That gives the robots of MX3D plenty of time to practice.
When you think of street art, you might think of graffiti, but our next artist is finding another way to decorate the streets. The innovative Thomas Dambo exclusively uses rubbish to create a variety of upcycled art installations around Denmark's capital, Copenhagen.
His artworks are big, colorful, and eye-catching. But a closer look shows something more. They're made of trash. Thomas Dambo is a designer and artist who proves that one man's trash is another man's treasure. All his sculptures and projects are made of things that have been thrown away.
I've been using recycled materials my whole life, and as I grew older, I still wanted to build a lot of stuff and be creative and like this, but I still didn't have a lot of money, and I learned at that point that it made no sense to go and buy it when I could just find it.
Thomas sorts through his latest acquisitions: tents, yoga mats, and sundry items left behind at a music festival. He's got plans for them in his next project.
We're gonna make workshops where people can make hats and like superhero masks out of the mats. Now when I'm standing and sorting it out, I also get a little idea of, okay, maybe I can put this one together with this one and it can become this one.
First, he goes scavenging. Then he develops a project to suit what he's found. That's also how he came up with the Happy Wall. The wall is made up of almost 2,000 analog pixels, made of bits of wood left over from the Roskilde Festival stage. Dambo constructed the interactive wall in central Copenhagen in 2013.
The idea behind Happy Wall is to allow people to express themselves in a big and powerful way in a public space.
Passers-by were invited to photograph their messages and post them on social media with the hashtag #HappyWall. Over 7,000 photos of the Happy Wall were uploaded in just 1 year.
If you write something that the general public won't like, then the general public will just go and they'll flip the board. So in this way, it's a democratic way to choose what you can see in the city, unlike commercials, which are defined by who has the money and the means.
The 35-year-old artist is also keen for the public to interact with his current installation. It's street art with a difference. 52 birdhouses made of recycled wood are part of an open-air exhibition at the Arken Museum of Modern Art. That is, if they can be found. The artist has installed some 3,500 birdhouses since he started building them in 2007. He's taken his recycling message from Copenhagen as far as Lebanon. This street art is for the birds and open-minded viewers.
Since one of my friends has been in jail for painting graffiti, I was inspired to do some kind of a project that when I put it up, or when I painted it, or when I sticked it at the wall, or how you normally do in a street art project, people will not like call the police, but they would instead call me and say thank you.
His next project is also designed to give people a positive experience with recycling. For an upcoming festival, he's planning a sculpture of a mountain with a flowing waterfall. It'll be made of 6,000 wooden triangles he's found. Hidden behind the waterfall will be a space for meetings, workshops, and dancing.
Where we aren't recycling right now, at like the level we are as a world, we are like at beginner level. You know, we are really, really bad at it, and I hope that my work can help us just come up a little bit. You know, and I hope that I also will learn to get better through doing it, and hopefully I have a lot of years left where I can do like bigger and bigger projects, because I have a lot of ideas left.
Thomas Dambo's fantastical creations give new life to old things, and he makes people think twice about what they toss out.
Well, to Switzerland now, where the Matterhorn reigns supreme as the king of all mountains. It is 150 years since climbers first conquered the Matterhorn, so locals and tourists alike were celebrating the anniversary in the Swiss town of Zermatt at its base. Well, the mystique of this mountain with its unique shape has long been an inspiration for art and advertising. Euromaxx reports on a motif that never loses its edge.
The Matterhorn, an almost perfect pyramid peak reaching into the clouds. Swiss mountaineer Stefan Siegrist is completely under its spell. This is a 3D film he shot of the majestic mountain. Every time he visits, he's awestruck once again by the spectacular alpine scenery.
The Matterhorn actually looks most impressive when you're looking up at it rather than when you're on it. It's incredibly aesthetically pleasing. It has a lot of very nice mountain ridges, although the rock face isn't so great.
Photographers like Matthias Taugwalder keep coming back to the Matterhorn. Stefan Schlumpf is another frequent visitor. Photographers are always finding intriguing new angles and eye-catching details.
The Matterhorn is a beautiful mountain, partly because it's so symmetrical. What also sets it apart is that it stands isolated.
Obviously, you can take exciting shots from the bottom of the mountain, but you can get even better pictures from the top. The Matterhorn means a lot to me personally, because my ancestors took part in the first ascent.
Peter Taugwalder was the mountain guide who, along with his son, led English mountaineer Edward Whymper to the summit. The museum in Zermatt documents this expedition. Whymper's team of 7, shown here in a reenactment, completed the ascent on July 14, 1865. But during the descent, 4 climbers plunged to their deaths when their rope snapped. Only Whymper, Peter Taugwalder and his son survived the first scaling of the Matterhorn. In his book Scrambles Amongst the Alps, Whymper presented himself as a hero. To mark the anniversary, Matthias Taugwalder is, for the first time, showing letters and documents that he, his cousin Josef, and Josef's son have analyzed. The papers document the first ascent of the Matterhorn from their ancestors' point of view.
The Taugwalders never got the chance to present their version of the story. There were many different theories. Did someone cut the rope? Was it Whymper or Taugwalder?
The documents inherited from Peter Taugwalder and his son show the scaling of the Matterhorn in a whole new light. Their version is supported by investigations conducted by alpinists at the site of the accident.
They were a group of 7 roped together, and they climbed right up to the last ice field, just below the summit. Then Whymper cut the rope, separating himself from the others so he could overtake them and be the first to reach the summit. You can imagine how the others felt about this egotistical behavior.
The rope, which had been repaired, came apart during the descent. Yet the tragedy inspired others to pit themselves against the Matterhorn. To mark the anniversary, the route is lit up at night. And a play called The Matterhorn Story, performed at an elevation of 2,600 meters, attempts to give an authentic account of the first ascent. Josef and David Taugwalder play their forefathers. They want to do more than debunk a myth.
I hope that people will finally start to move away from this myth of the first ascent. The Matterhorn exerts a pull over people, including those who live here. It looks and feels different every day. There's something very energizing about it.
Even without this myth, the mountain has a story to tell. It's an isolated peak with an extraordinary silhouette. The mountain alone makes a visit to Zermatt worthwhile.
The Matterhorn, a lonely giant with ever-changing moods, a landmark that's shrouded in legend. No doubt even more stories will unfold along its slopes and ridges over the next 150 years.
Well, it's widely considered a measure of someone's status in life if they have a big house, a big car and a big expense account. But some trend watchers say the new status symbol will be to have the least stuff possible. Micro houses fit nicely into this pattern of thought. So, in the spirit of less is more, Euromaxx shows you a new way of thinking big.
Minimizing and downsizing in style. That's the basic idea of tiny houses. These movable units can blend in everywhere. And not only on dry land. This stylish little wooden shack is in the Steiermark in Austria. It's fully waterproofed and serves as a weekend retreat for Martina Fabricius and Peter Niss from Graz. Just 22 square meters big, it comprises a living room, bedroom, kitchen and bathroom. Everything the couple needs, in other words.
You don't have to waste time tidying up and clearing things away. You can focus on the essentials.
It's so much easier, very compact. You're in the middle of the great outdoors. There's less to keep clean.
The New Nomads is the title of a sumptuous coffee table book about houses exactly like theirs. Editor Sven Ehmann went all over the world looking for what he calls temporary architecture, including this miniature tower, egg-shaped capsules, tree houses, designer yurts. Simple, stripped-down living spaces as a lifestyle choice.
We live in an age of excess. There's an excess of everything. And when there's too much of something, there's inevitably a backlash. If you go back to basics, you're also freeing yourself.
Another point of tiny houses is maximizing mobility. Martina and Peter's house in Austria was delivered by truck from Spain. Relocating it is simple. Owning a home like this means you're not tied down to one place.
We don't know where we'll be in 2, 3, or 5 years' time, so it was important to us to have a home we could take with us wherever we go.
The couple belong to a generation that feels at home and works in every corner of the globe. Today's creatives thrive on a lifestyle that sees them constantly on the move, and architects are responding. The renowned Italian architect Renzo Piano designed this micro-house, which he calls the Diogenes cabin. Or there's the Loft Cube by German designer Werner Eislinger.
I think people have an innate restlessness. They always have. People shouldn't have to feel that they're putting down roots once and for all. They should be able to change their mind.
The popularity of caravans is also growing. The German-designed Sealander is a hybrid mobile trailer, mini-home and motorboat, perfect for those who can't decide if they prefer camping or boating. Just 4 meters long, it feels surprisingly spacious.
It gives you total freedom. It's also very cleverly designed, so it appeals to anyone with a penchant for good design. Plus, of course, it allows you to be completely spontaneous and flexible.
Because if you're camping near a lake or the sea and think to yourself, I wish we could hit those open waters, you can. The Sealander has an electric motor with 6 horsepower. In most countries, you don't even need a boat license. The original blueprint for a floating caravan was developed by an industrial design student.
The idea of traveling around the countryside with family or friends appeals to mankind's need to be mobile and flexible. It gives you the freedom to decide exactly where you want to go, where to drop anchor.
The walking house by Danish design collective N55 goes one step further, literally. It's built on 6 hydraulic legs that can walk, albeit slowly. Tailor-made for those restless nomads among us.
it's amazing in just a very, very small space of time that apps have become a part of the furniture, those funny little things in your smartphone or on your tablet, sometimes useful, entertaining, or even just downright silly. We use them every day to look at art, get the news, or take an artsy photograph. But to what extent can apps themselves be considered art? Let's have a look.
Art at your fingertips. With the EDMT app, people can create sounds and graphic elements and combine them. This combination of musical instrument and toy was developed by a Berlin artist collective, and it's just won them the prize for artistic innovation at this year's App Art Awards.
For me, you know, it was like sort of a personal thing of kind of packaging together a lot of different things I came across as a visual artist, and you know, working with audiovisual, and just wanted to put a lot of these different concepts like into one place where people can experience these things.
Smartphones and tablets have become commonplace in our everyday lives. Most of the millions of apps developed for them have practical uses, but there's also a special art genre, app art. One example is this clock, which integrates live images from the mobile device's camera. Or the app Lazact, which allows several people to direct a projection simultaneously and thus create art in public spaces. The RArt app superimposes a new dimension of reality onto existing artworks, providing a fresh perspective on the classics. The art is created by using the app. Christiana Riedel of the Center for Art and Media in Karlsruhe has kept an eye on this new art form from the very beginning.
The apps are interactive, and that's an important aspect of these artistic formats in the app world. So there are lots of artists. There's the artist who created the app, and then there's the users who become collaborators.
In Berlin, video artist James Cooey has spent months working on matching up the right sounds to his visual work. The 36-year-old has programmed the app, which he developed with musician Tilman Porschutz. The two were looking for new modes of expression and found one in the format of an app.
You can use the accelerometer, the camera, the microphone, the multi-touch elements. Those are well developed on mobile devices and are really great for us.
Apps don't just make the art experience independent of space. They also allow totally new ways for interaction, thanks to the motion sensors, touch screens, cameras, and accelerometers. Artists have mostly used tablets for drawing or displaying art, like British artist David Hockney or German illustrator Amalie Neureuter. The new possibilities offered by mobile devices can usually only be discovered with the right app. One example is Borderlands Granular. Chris Carlson's combination of intuitive music instrument and sound processing won him an App Art Award in the sound category.
It's designed to be something that you can use to treat sound like it's a sculptural medium, essentially. So you're kind of painting with sound in a way.
The Center for Art and Media has supported the development of app art for years. In 2011, it handed out the first App Art Award with a prize of 10,000 euros.
From an art history perspective, apps are essentially the fulfillment of a dream, namely the dream of the moving and movable picture. Apps can now reach the entire world simultaneously, and that's a very important step in art history.
They say that art is in the eye of the beholder. But with app art, it's at the touch of the user.
That's unfortunately all we have time for today. Thanks for watching though, and if you missed anything, you can always catch up with our programs online. We will be back though next week with more, and we will see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.